Hello and welcome back. I hope you're able to complete the homework assignment and create the analyzer.rb file. Here I have it pulled up and I'm going to run this real quick. Before I do that, I'm going to toggle my screen. Okay. Now Ruby analyzer.rb, last name. Okay, so welcome to the analyzer program, Mashur Hussain. Your first name has 7 characters in it, etc., etc. All right, so I hope you're able to complete that. Now in this video, we're going to work with numbers. Okay, so I'm gonna hop on the IRB console. All right, so let's try this. Puts 1 plus 2. Okay, we got 3. That means it's reading this as integers, 1 and 2. It's adding them up and is returning them as 3, which is a number. Okay. Now let's try multiplication. Put 3 times 5, 15. Okay. Now let's try division. Put 15 divided by 5, 3. Now let's try another division. Put 20 divided by 3. 6. What happened here? 20 divided by 3 is not 6, right? We have decimals missing over here. Now, why did this happen? This happened because this is integer arithmetic. When I put in 20 divided by 3, it just gives me an integer as the result because I'm dividing integers. To get an accurate decimal number, I'll need a float, okay? So how do I do that? I can do that in several ways. First way is I can convert this result to float. So I can just say puts 20 by 3 dot 2f. Notice what happened? It divided 20 divided by 3 and it converted that to a float and then it gave me the result. That's why I got the decimal. All right. Another way of doing this is I can just put a .0 after the number and it will read it as a float instead of an integer. So if I puts 20.0 divided by 3, it gives me a float. I can do the same thing and leave 20 as is, divided by 3.0, gives me that as well. I can do this in another way. Let me clear up the screen, Control L. Okay, so x equals 10, y equals 20. Actually, I need a different number. I'll say y equals 22. Okay? Now if I do y divided by x, I get 2, right? But what if I convert y to a float? So y equals y dot 2f. Alright, so now notice how y is no longer an integer, it's a float. So now if I do y divided by x, whoops, I didn't print anything. So I'm going to do puts y divided by x, it's 2.2. All right, great. So the next thing I want to do is find out the mod operator. All right, how do we do that? Let's say I do 20 and then percentage sign, which stands for modulo, right? 3, I get 2. If you're not familiar with modulo or mod operator, it's basically, it gives you the remainder. So 20 divided by 3 gives you a remainder of 2, right? So that's what the modulo operator is. And it's represented by the percentage sign. So if you're coming from other programming languages, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the mod operator to find if a number is odd or even, right? For example, 21 mod 2, any odd number mod of 2 will always give you 1. So puts 21 mod 2, it'll get 1 because 21 is an odd number. 23 mod 2 will also give you 1 since it's an odd number, right? Now, what if it's an even number? Then you'll get mod 2 will always return a 0. But this is so common in Ruby, you can simply do something like this. 23.odd question mark, it returns true. Okay? 22.odd question mark returns false. 22.even question mark returns true. you're actually calling the method on the integer and it's giving you a response. That's because everything in Ruby is an object. So you can call methods on objects and it returns it. Now what's something else we can do? We can do comparisons, right? So 5 less than 2, this is going to return false. This is a comparison operator. What about 10 less than 20? Will return true. What if 10 less than 10? False. But 10 less than equals 10? It's true. What about 20 greater than equals 20? That's true, but 20 greater than 20 will be false. Okay. Now what is the equals operator? I can't say 10 equals 10. That's a syntax error. But to compare equals, I'm going to clear up the screen. It's 10 double equals 10 and it'll return true. So let's say x equals 12, y equals 12. Okay, x equals y. Hit enter and the answer is true. All right, so next we're going to see how to generate a random number. All right, so if I type in rand, it generates a random number between 0 and 1. If I type in rand with, let's say, 10, it will generate a number between 0 and 10. So if I try again, another random number between 0 and 10, but it will exclude 10. It won't include 10 in there. What if I do puts rand 10? It's a random number between 0 and 9, so 0 got output over here. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is just like how I could convert a regular integer to a float, I can convert a float to an integer also. Let's say p equals 12. Actually, p equals 12.0. Okay, so p is now a float. What if I turn p equals p dot 2i, which is converting p to an integer, or 2i is basically 2 integer. Now notice how if I type in p, I get 12, not 12.0. All right. Now similarly, you can do this type conversion with strings as well. Remember we spoke about and worked with strings in the last lesson. So let's say you have 5. This is a string, right? What if I do x equals 5 and then x dot 2i? I get 5. But if I do x, I still get string that's 5. But if I do x equals x dot 2i, now x is no longer a string, it's an integer. All right. Now if I do x times 10, 50, right? Now let me convert x back to a string. X equals x dot 2s. Now what will happen if I do x times 50, for example? Let's try it out. Hit enter. It basically listed x, which is 5, 50 times. All right? Because x is a string, when you multiply that string by 50, it basically lists it each time. What if I try 50 times x? Then I get an error because you cannot have 50 represented x times because x is not defined. I can have x displayed 50 times. I can have 50 sets of x basically, but I can't have x sets of 50 because x isn't defined. I'm going to clear this up a little bit. All right. So another thing I want to show you is how easy Ruby makes something. All right. Let's say I want to display hi in 20 lines. All right. 20 times I want to display hi. Instead of putting in puts 20 times, I can simply do 20.times, and this takes a block of code. All right. So I'm going to open brace and then close brace. That's a block of code. And within it, I'm going to say puts hi. Okay. And this will repeat hi 20 times. Okay. What if I want to display a number? 20.times, let's say puts 10. Hit enter. Displays 10 20 times. All right. So let me clear this up. Okay. Now let's go back to our program and modify it a little bit. So I'll toggle out of here and then I'll exit IRB. All right, now I want my program to ask the user to input two numbers, one after the other, and then I want to do some arithmetic on them. Let's say addition, multiplication, whatever. All right, so how do I do that? So first thing I'll do is I'll enter another prompt. So first number equals gets chomp. But before that, I'm going to prompt the user to enter it. Please enter your first number. Okay, and then I'll enter a second number. Please enter your second number. And then second number equals gets chomp. Now, I want to multiply the two and display the result. How do I do that? Let's try what we've been doing so far. Puts first number times second number. Let's see if this works. Save that. But actually, I want to add something else. Puts the first number multiplied by the second number is, and then plus first number times second number. All right, let's see what that does. Save that. Ruby analyzer.rb. Please enter your first name, Masroor. Last name, Hussein. Please enter your first number, 3. Second number, 5. We have an error. No implicit conversion of string into integer. Okay, what's happening here? What's happening here is that whatever is entered in, or whatever I'm entering in, is basically being converted to a string, okay? And Ruby is reading that as string. Whatever is being entered through gets.chomp is a string. So first number is string, second number is also a string. And I'm trying to multiply a string with a string, and that's not going to work. So what do I do here? Let me try converting this to I. So first number dot to I times second number dot to I. Let's try this. Save that. Masroor, Hussein, first number 3, second number 5. I still have an error. What's going on here? What's going on here is, now notice how I have a type error that's saying I'm trying to add a string to a number. Okay, that's not going to work. So what's the best way of doing this? I think the best way to do this is if I just take this whole thing out, okay? If I just take this out, get rid of this, and over here, let me put in the values right here. So first number to I, so pound open brace, first number to I times second number to I. Let's see what that does. Save that. Let me run this. 3, 5. Check it out. It worked this time. The first number multiplied by the second number is 15. Because I didn't try to add a string to a number, this time I'm representing the value within the pound brace, which is basically displaying the value it's getting from there. So what happens if I now remove the dot to I? First number and then second number to I. What happens now? Three, 5. I still get an error because now I'm getting the first error, which is I'm trying to multiply a string with a string. Okay, so that's something important to remember when you do this, that when you're using gets.chomp, you're getting a string. Okay, so remember to do that. To I and then dot to I. All right, now we come to the homework assignment. Notice how we have here the first number multiplied by the second number is this. I want you to add in 3 more to this, okay? First one is the first number divided by the second number is. Then the next one is the first number subtracted from the second number is, and then the third one, the first number mod of the second number is. And then I want you to display that, okay, in the Analyzer RB program. Now I will have the solution to this in the next lecture, so you can take a look at it if you get stuck. But I think based on this, you'll be able to complete it now, okay? So take a shot, and that's all I wanted to cover in this video, and I'll see you in the next one.